Behind every legendary action star lies a hidden truth. But what if that truth could destroy everything we thought we knew about them? From secret families to forbidden affairs, these larger-than-life heroes lived lives far more complicated than their on-screen personas ever let on. Can you imagine the shocking secrets lurking behind their public images? Stick around as we dive deep into the untold double lives of the toughest men in Hollywood. You won't believe what we uncovered. Arnold Schwarzenegger. Arnold Schwarzenegger, the name synonymous with raw power and machismo, lived a double life that even his millions of fans couldn't have predicted. He rose from humble beginnings in Austria to become one of Hollywood's most iconic action stars. But behind his heroic roles in The Terminator and Predator, Arnold was hiding a devastating secret. In 1997, Arnold fathered a child with his housekeeper, Mildred Baena. This affair remained hidden for years, even from his wife, Maria Shriver, and children. The public was blindsided when the truth came out in 2011, shattering the pristine image he'd carefully crafted. This scandal not only rocked his marriage, but also his political career. Yet, despite the public fallout, Schwarzenegger didn't disappear into obscurity. Instead, he continued to rebuild his life with surprising transparency, focusing on his family and public life. His story isn't just one of action hero fame, it's a tale of scandal, redemption, and the painful cost of secrets. Arnold's double life shows us that even the toughest exterior can be hiding something far more fragile beneath the surface. Rock Hudson. Rock Hudson was the epitome of the suave, romantic leading man in Hollywood during the 1950s and 60s, starring in films like Giant and Pillow Talk. But behind the curtain of his carefully crafted public image, Hudson was hiding a truth that would have destroyed his career if exposed: his homosexuality. In an era when being openly gay in Hollywood was practically unthinkable, Hudson's sexual orientation was a secret that he had to protect at all costs. His relationships with women were part of his carefully constructed facade, meant to keep his status as a tough, straight man intact. Hudson's double life came crashing down in 1985 when he was diagnosed with AIDS, forcing him to come out posthumously, revealing his hidden truth. His death not only highlighted the stigma faced by LGBTQ+ individuals at the time, but also sparked public discussions about the dangers of living in a closet of shame. The Hollywood legend, once seen as the image of masculinity, was now viewed through a more sympathetic lens, reminding us that even the most iconic stars have hidden struggles. Jean-Claude Van Damme. Jean-Claude Van Damme, known as the Muscles from Brussels, built an empire as the tough action hero in films like Bloodsport and Kickboxer. But off-screen, he often played a much more complicated role, one he jokingly referred to as being a secret agent. While this notion was playful and exaggerated, it spoke to Van Damme's deep desire to live a life of intrigue and adventure beyond the fame. Van Damme's real double life was far less glamorous, but equally layered. He was known for his battles with addiction and depression, struggles that were kept under wraps for years. Behind the camera, the star of hard-hitting action flicks was often dealing with his inner turmoil, facing his personal demons in solitude. His persona as the world's most intense fighter on screen hid the vulnerability and complexities of a man who was always seeking something deeper than fame and fortune. Today, Van Damme has embraced his public struggles, speaking out about his battles with mental health and addiction. His story is one of self-acceptance, showing that even the toughest heroes have to fight their internal wars. Chuck Norris. Chuck Norris, known for his role as the unrelenting and invincible Walker in Walker, Texas Ranger, was the archetype of American masculinity. He was a martial arts champion, an action star, and the man everyone thought could defeat any enemy. But Chuck's secret life was far removed from the violence of his on-screen character. Behind the scenes, he was a dedicated philanthropist who poured time and money into supporting military veterans and their families. He also founded Kickstart, a nonprofit dedicated to helping young kids learn discipline through martial arts. Yet, Norris kept this side of himself low-key, preferring to maintain his private, quiet nature away from the spotlight. Despite the public's perception of him as the hard-hitting, unflinching warrior, Chuck used his platform for far more peaceful purposes, helping kids find their purpose and veterans heal from the trauma of war. Norris's true power, it turns out, lay not in his fists, but in his quiet dedication to making the world a better place, one small, humble act at a time. Jackie Chan. Jackie Chan is known worldwide for his gravity-defying stunts and humorous fight scenes, becoming one of the most beloved action stars to ever grace the screen. But behind the lighthearted action hero persona, Jackie's life is marked by a deep commitment to philanthropy and social causes. In fact, Chan's off-screen life is entirely dedicated to improving the world around him, often quietly working as a UNICEF Goodwill Ambassador and donating millions to various charitable causes. He's also an outspoken advocate against animal cruelty, leading campaigns to protect animals from abuse. Despite his fame and fortune, Jackie has always kept his charitable work under wraps, focusing on helping those in need without expecting praise. His double life as a philanthropist isn't just an afterthought, it is the core of who he is. In interviews, Chan has revealed that his focus on charity was influenced by his own humble beginnings. For him, the stunts and big-budget action movies are only part of his legacy. The real impact he hopes to leave lies in the difference he makes through his quiet and consistent efforts to help others. His life reminds us that even the most dynamic and daring figures can be driven by compassion, not just fame. Clint Eastwood. Clint Eastwood, a legendary tough guy known for his roles in Dirty Harry and Unforgiven, was not only a force to be reckoned with on-screen, but also off-screen, where his personal life was filled with contradictions and secrets. While the world saw him as the ultimate action hero, Eastwood lived a double family life that few knew about. His many relationships and overlapping families were a well-guarded secret for decades. He fathered multiple children from different women, including a child from a relationship he kept hidden for years. This complicated private life clashed with his public persona, creating a stark contrast between his rugged, no-nonsense roles and his personal vulnerabilities. Despite his reputation for being a solitary figure, Eastwood's life was anything but simple. His private struggles with his families and relationships were rarely discussed until the public began to learn the truth years later. Clint's story is one of deep complexity. A man whose personal life was fraught with secrecy and hidden truths, yet whose career as a filmmaker and actor portrayed him as the unflinching, resolute hero. Eastwood, in his later years, reflected on these past decisions, acknowledging his complicated relationships with his children and partners. He may have been the epitome of the lone wolf on screen, but behind closed doors, he was a man trying to juggle the weight of multiple lives, each of which left its own mark on his legacy. Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise, forever known for defying gravity and Mission Impossible, is a Hollywood star whose personal life has often overshadowed his films. His public image as a fearless, action-packed hero is well known, but behind that facade lies his deep involvement in the controversial Church of Scientology. Cruise has long been one of the most prominent and perhaps the most famous members of Scientology, and this aspect of his life has remained hidden in plain sight for years. While his on-screen persona embodies a tough, determined, and somewhat invincible hero, his real-life journey is deeply entangled with the practices and influence of Scientology. His allegiance to the church has shaped his relationships, from his marriages to Nicole Kidman and Katie Holmes to his friendship with fellow Scientologist John Travolta. This secret world of Scientology, with its strict doctrines and hierarchical power structures, has often placed Cruise at odds with the public and the press, leading to countless speculations and controversies. His life has often been a battle between his blockbuster career and the quiet, private world he's built with the church. For years, Cruise kept the true extent of his involvement under wraps, only occasionally hinting at his beliefs in interviews. Yet the more his private life became exposed, the more questions arose about how much of his persona was shaped by this hidden belief system. Cruise's story is one of private devotion, public perception, and the constant balancing act between fame and his deeply personal commitment to Scientology. Charles Bronson. Charles Bronson's image as the no-nonsense action star in films like Death Wish made him the quintessential tough guy of the 1970s and 80s. With his rough features and gritty roles, he became the poster child for vengeance and retribution on screen. But behind the tough exterior was a man who fought to escape his past. Born Charles Bukinski in the bleak mining town of Ehrenfeld, Pennsylvania, Bronson grew up in poverty with a family that struggled to make ends meet. The rough conditions of his childhood fueled his desire to leave his past behind, and so he reinvented himself, taking on the name Charles Bronson and crafting a public persona that was as intimidating as it was iconic. However, the reality of his early years haunted him throughout his career. Bronson's double life wasn't just about hiding a past, it was about creating an identity that would allow him to move beyond the limitations of his upbringing. While he was known for his tough guy roles, Bronson's personal life revealed a much more complex man, someone who valued his privacy, family, and peace of mind, despite the violent roles he played on screen. His story is a testament to the power of reinvention and the desire to leave behind a life that, for many, would have been too hard to bear. Even as a Hollywood icon, Bronson's internal struggle between his past and present was a constant battle, one he fought silently, without the public ever knowing the extent of his personal transformation. Liam Neeson. Liam Neeson's transformation from a Shakespearean actor to an action hero in Taken turned him into the ultimate tough guy on screen, with his character becoming an emblem of relentless pursuit and vengeance. But beneath the gruff persona, Neeson's real life couldn't have been more different. Known for his quiet, reserved nature, Neeson is far from the fast-talking, aggressive characters he often portrays. In fact, his real life was deeply affected by personal tragedy. In 2009, Neeson's wife, Natasha Richardson, tragically passed away following a skiing accident, leaving Neeson to raise their two children alone. His grief, coupled with his newfound role as a single parent, changed him forever. Neeson has been open about how his wife's death altered his view on life, and this profound loss reshaped his approach to both his career and his personal life. Despite his heroic roles, Neeson has found solace in family and in the quiet moments away from the media spotlight. His double life isn't one of secrets or hidden personas. It's one of painful, heartfelt vulnerability, masked by a career defined by action and stoicism. Neeson's story is a reminder that even the toughest of men are not immune to the deepest of personal struggles, and it's those struggles that make them more human and relatable than they may seem. Jason Statham. Jason Statham has earned his place as one of the hardest, most unflinching action stars in Hollywood. From Crank to The Expendables, his roles have revolved around brutal toughness, never flinching in the face of danger. But behind the fast-paced action and the endless fight sequences, Statham's real life could not be further from the tough guy persona. Off-screen, Statham is known for his incredibly private nature, especially when it comes to his family. While the world may see him as an adrenaline junkie, the truth is, Statham has long lived a quiet, low-key life with his fiancée, model Rosie Huntington-Whiteley. Unlike many other action stars who relish in the spotlight, Statham has always kept his personal life under wraps, choosing to focus on family life away from the cameras. This contrast between his public and private selves is stark. While he appears invincible in his films, constantly engaged in high-octane action scenes, his real life is filled with moments of tranquility, love, and stability. The secrecy surrounding his personal life has led many to speculate about his motives for staying so private. Is he trying to maintain control, or is he simply trying to protect what's most important to him? Whatever the reason, Jason Statham's double life speaks to a deeper truth that even the toughest heroes need a place to retreat and recharge, far away from the action-packed world they create on screen. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Dwayne Johnson, one of the most recognizable faces in Hollywood, is best known for his larger-than-life persona. From his wrestling days to dominating the Fast and Furious franchise, he's the epitome of hyper-masculine energy. But what many don't know is that Johnson's rise to fame wasn't as straightforward as it seemed. Before his explosive success in the WWE and Hollywood, he faced a series of personal setbacks that shaped him into the man he is today. He struggled with failure in the world of football, going from being a promising college player to being cut from the Canadian Football League. This failure was a crushing blow to his identity, but he kept it hidden from his fans and used it as fuel to propel him forward in his career. Despite being the people's champion, Johnson had a rocky start and faced periods of emotional and financial struggle before finding success in wrestling. He didn't just leap to the top, he had to fight through his own insecurities and obstacles. Johnson has been open about his battles with depression, but for years, the public only saw the muscular, charismatic star, never the man struggling behind the scenes. His double life was not one of secrecy, but one of resilience, hiding his personal struggles to maintain the image of a man who always rises to the occasion. Today, he openly discusses his past and uses his platform to encourage others facing hardship, proving that even the biggest stars face their own challenges. Wesley Snipes. Wesley Snipes is forever etched in cinematic history for his role as Blade, the vampire hunter, an action star who embodied grit, power, and fearlessness. Yet behind the tough guy image was a man of much deeper complexity. While many know Snipes for his martial arts prowess and his iconic role in the Blade trilogy, fewer are aware of his true passions, which he kept hidden from the public eye for years. Snipes was deeply involved in martial arts long before he ever starred in an action film, and his dedication to the craft goes far beyond the on-screen fights he delivered. But beyond martial arts, Snipes harbored a growing interest in film production and behind-the-scenes filmmaking, which he kept out of the limelight. He was frustrated with the way Hollywood portrayed him, limiting his roles to action-oriented characters, and wanted to showcase his versatility in more dramatic, nuanced performances. But his secret life was not just about his creative pursuits, it was about his personal life too. Snipes faced significant legal battles, including a conviction for tax evasion, which he served time for in 2013. This added layer to his double life as a public action hero who had to navigate the consequences of his actions in private. Snipes' story is one of duality, his on-screen identity as a relentless fighter, and his personal struggles with fame, money, and a desire for something more. It was a life of internal conflict, which made him more human than the untouchable characters he portrayed. Tony Jaa. Tony Jaa's rise to fame was anything but typical. Known for his brutal real-life martial arts in Ong Bak and Tom Yum Goong, Jaa became an international sensation for his intense, gravity-defying stunts. But what many didn't know was that his journey to stardom was built on a secret life of struggle, sacrifice, and secrecy within the Thai film industry. Before achieving international fame, Jaa worked as a stunt double for years, often performing dangerous feats without recognition. The martial arts world was his calling, but it was also a world filled with hidden competition, intense pressure, and industry politics that Jaa had to navigate quietly. Behind the scenes, Jaa faced a series of battles with his production company, which nearly led him to walk away from his dream. There were numerous industry conflicts, including his departure from projects and battles over creative control. Despite these challenges, Jaa's dedication to his craft remained unwavering, and his physical abilities continued to push the boundaries of what was thought possible in martial arts cinema. His story is one of overcoming adversity in silence, fighting not just in the ring, but also for respect and recognition within a cutthroat industry. Tony Jaa's hidden struggles show that even the most invincible figures have to fight harder than anyone knows to maintain their place at the top. His double life isn't just one of action heroism. It's a story of relentless perseverance behind the scenes. Jet Li. Jet Li's name is synonymous with martial arts mastery. His graceful yet brutal fighting style immortalized in films like Shaolin Temple, The Forbidden Kingdom, and Romeo Must Die. To the world, he's the ultimate action hero, a figure who can take on multiple opponents in a single scene with ease. But behind the fierce moves and intense battles lies a man who spent much of his life out of the spotlight, quietly dedicating himself to causes far beyond the world of film. Off-screen, Li's life tells a much different story, one marked by his deep involvement in humanitarian work and his relentless drive to improve the world. While most fans know him as the high-flying martial artist, Li is equally passionate about philanthropy. He has devoted countless hours to helping victims of natural disasters, establishing the Jet Li 1 Foundation, which focuses on disaster relief, children's welfare, and education. But this part of his life remained a secret to many, with the public only catching glimpses of his true mission when his foundation made headlines. Li's secret life wasn't just about charity work, it was also about his journey to spiritual and personal peace. After a career defined by action-packed roles, Li began to focus on his internal well-being, seeking balance and enlightenment through martial arts philosophy and Buddhist teachings. In fact, Li has often spoken about how his martial arts training helped him find peace, both in body and mind. His dual life as a global icon and a humanitarian who practices self-reflection and balance shows that the most powerful heroes are often those who fight quietly for the greater good. Harrison Ford. Harrison Ford, the legendary actor behind Indiana Jones and Han Solo, is the quintessential Hollywood hero. Yet his real-life story is far more humble and layered than anyone could have imagined. On screen, Ford was the epitome of the daring adventurer, fearless, tough, and unwavering in his pursuit of justice. Off-screen, however, Ford lived a very different life, one filled with a deep love for the environment, personal tragedy, and the desire to remain out of the spotlight despite being one of the most famous faces in cinema. Ford's life is marked by his secret passion for aviation. Long before he became an international action star, Ford was a private pilot, an endeavor that remained under wraps for years. It wasn't just a hobby. Flying gave him an unparalleled sense of freedom that his on-screen roles couldn't provide. But his private life didn't stop there. Ford is deeply involved in environmental activism, using his platform to fight for conservation efforts and to advocate for the protection of endangered species and wilderness areas. His work is often overshadowed by his famous film roles, yet Ford has been a lifelong advocate for the planet. Beyond his activism, Ford's personal life has also been marked by significant heartbreak. After the sudden loss of his beloved ex-wife, Melissa Matheson, Ford faced grief that shaped his views on life, family, and his legacy. His struggle with public loss, coupled with his dedication to nature and quiet advocacy, makes him the ultimate example of a man who has lived a double life, one part global action hero, and another part a deeply introspective man committed to the earth. Ford's story is a powerful reminder that not all heroes wear capes. Some prefer to remain behind the scenes, doing what they believe is right. These action stars may have lived double lives, but their hidden truths remind us that even the toughest heroes are shaped by personal struggles, hidden passions, and quiet acts of kindness. From secret families to quiet philanthropy, they've shown us that strength isn't just about what we see on screen, it's about what remains unseen. What other Hollywood secrets do you think are waiting to be uncovered? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and Beanie Tu Mon.